All right, we're back. Special Easter Monday episode. You dressed up in your, what did you say? You dressed up for a White Lotus cast member role.
Yeah, I feel like I should just belong in like an Italian resort, like drinking like a pina colada or like some sort of cocktail.
I don't know if they drink pina coladas in Italy.
It's a very resorty type thing, like a pina colada. So just maybe some sort of like spritz.
Some spritz or some
spritz
wine.
cocktail,
some
yeah.
champers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what we call it here, right? Champers. We call champagne champers.
Yes, we all like to shorten things here in Australia, so can't have the full name. Even Australia is like Australia, so.
Well, it has to be from Champagne, the Champagne region, to be called champagne now. Otherwise, it's got to be called sparkling wine.
Gotcha.
They do it with a bunch of stuff. I think they've done it with a type of cheese. I forget which one.
Yep, there's a special like. That's right. Yeah, I don't know what the cheese is called either, but yeah, it has to only be called that from that particular region. Yeah.
Oh, we're back. So Easter Monday. I hope everyone's had a nice Easter long weekend. You've had 4 days off, which has been lovely to have you around the home. Have done nothing but clean and eat banana bread the entire time. So that's been fun.
Chocolate chip banana
has to
bread.
have chocolate in it. Otherwise, it doesn't feel very ceremonial.
Nah, yeah, just for like Easter and stuff. But it's been a very nice, like chilled. I mean, I've got one more day left, but been very nice to have that time off and relax and stuff. So yeah, it's always good to have.
It's been good.
Yeah,
we're in holiday mode, so I feel like make sure everything's recording. It is.
No, it is. Yeah. But I like to call it strategic annual leave. So I only had to take one day off as annual leave, and the rest are like covered by public holidays and my RDOs. So
strategic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you don't have to use 4 days worth of leave.
You get paid regardless.
Yeah.
Well, every time it comes around to Easter, I'm reminded of a horrific moment during my childhood, which I think we might throw on the screen here right now. I have it made in advance, just like a good cooking show. It's there's a pre-made version underneath the shelf of the photo. So back when I don't know what year this is from. I want to say when I was maybe 7 or 8. I'm probably not even 7 or 8. I probably look about like I'm 5 here.
I've seen this photo.
I'm
it's
reminded
very
of this awesome Easter Bunny outfit. So obviously when you have...
It's 1992?
92, so I would have been 4.
Far out. Like, it is horrific.
So when you go to... Obviously when you have Christmas time, everyone goes to the local shopping centre, whatever, to see some fake Santa parading around to get photographs. Back in the 90s, we had Easter bunnies, and the one you can definitely, if you're listening to this, you'll want to see the video version on Spotify, on YouTube, of me and my godsister posing with an Easter bunny. The background decorations are like the cheapest cellophane I can think of.
It's like legit cellophane that you get from like the reject shop.
And yeah, it's a dude dressed up in a bunny outfit, and it looks like it's something out of an It movie, some sort of Stephen King horror movie. White gloves, white little bow tie kind of thing.
It's the dead eyes that do it for me, I think.
Yeah.
Very horrifying.
I'm instantly reminded of this every time it comes to Easter.
Yeah.
So it's always enjoyable to remember those horrific years.
Like, very different for me. Like when I remember Easter, I just remember like frolicking and finding like Easter eggs with my brother and my family and stuff. So a lot different memories compared to, I guess, your one of that horrific Easter bunny.
Why would someone have that as a job? Obviously it's a casual role. You don't dress up like that all year round, but who signs off on that?
I'm going to say it's like a regional town, like C grade type of like financing for like a little shopping center.
It's the most horrific thing I've ever seen. And I've never seen an Easter bunny like photograph session at a mall ever since.
Yeah, but like why pink? Why not like grey like a normal Easter bunny?
Yeah, grey's a bit bland though. You don't want to have like for a photo, for a relic, a memorable moment like that. You don't want to have a grey bunny. You want something pink.
Unless it's like a con, right? So it's just like some dude once a year dresses up. It's probably the same dude that dresses up at Santa or whatever it is.
He just needs a bit of extra money during that time of year because it's
give me $5 and you can take a photo with me. Haha.
Pretty cheaper back then, I think.
$2 gold coin donation.
It's those seasonal workers. They want money all year round. They would dress up for any holiday.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I can't believe you had to go through that.
And so what are your Easter memories?
My Easter memories are actually, it was pretty cute. So my parents used to hide Easter eggs around the place, and we used to have to go for our own little Easter egg hunt. We used to, depending on like the weather and stuff, would either be outside or in our bedroom. So like while we were sleeping, parents would walk in our room and like hide Easter eggs and stuff around if it was raining and stuff. And we'd just have to like hunt around for Easter eggs and got to chomp them all down.
anything like substantial? Like everyone did that. Like,
Yeah.
did you?
Oh, we grew up Catholic as well, so we always had to go to like church and stuff.
So that's where the interesting part comes in. So
Yeah.
what's a Catholic Easter like at the church?
So it starts off with, because it's Lent, right? So the whole period of Easter is Lent. So the theme is you have to give up something. So people usually give up like chocolate or meat or whatever it is. And then on Easter Sunday is like when you get to break it.
Who chooses what you have to give up?
You choose yourself.
You
like
get to choose.
Yeah, so it's like
So just give up heroin for the weekend.
Exactly. It has to be something that you really, really want or you really, really like. So you have to actually give up something that you're gonna miss.
Social media.
Yeah. Back then, we had no social media back then. But yeah, so the whole period was Lent. Then it would start off with Palm Wednesday. I think it is.
Palm, like your palms.
No, it's Palm Sunday. So it kicks
like
off with
palm, like the text, or like your hand.
Oh no,
palm?
like the leaf palm, like a plant palm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like palm, like
Yeah.
psalm.
So it starts off with Palm Sunday.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure like that came about because like when Jesus was entering Jerusalem, people throwing down palms or like waving palms and
Got a
stuff.
history lesson here.
Yep. And then following, I can't remember like how many like days or weeks are between them. Then it follows up by Ash Wednesday, which is like you burn the palms into ash.
So it's not even during the weekend. It's just an extended. I know nothing about Catholic or religious life, so this is potentially a
Been a while. Yeah.
theology lesson right here for me.
Yeah, so those palms from that Sunday, because you go to church on the Sunday, and those palms from that Sunday would then get burnt, and then you have ash. So then you have Ash Wednesday, which you meant to go to church again, and that's where you get the ash cross on your forehead on Ash Wednesday.
Why 4 days?
I don't know.
Why? What is it? What day does it start? Sunday? And
Yeah, it
then
starts on the
Wednesday?
Sunday. I'm pretty sure it's the following Wednesday.
So what happens in the in-between time?
People are just like giving up their favorite thing, like it's
For the
Lent.
whole time?
Yeah, so for the Lent's like the whole of Easter. So it starts off like the period's called Lent. Something to do with like the pagan.
What was
like,
the most common thing you used to give up? Was it a family thing or an individual thing?
It was an individual thing.
What did
So
you used to give up?
I guess like chocolate. I don't know. I was too young. I can't remember.
So it
Like
got
playing
chosen
with a
for
certain
you.
toy
So
or
there's
something.
zero consent given to like what you could give up. Your parents get to choose for you, just like your gender.
Well, it's just like you four or five or six, like we grew up Catholic. So it's just like you have like whatever it is. So usually kids probably wouldn't give up anything and then the parents would give up something. I don't know. I can't even remember what parents gave up.
Yeah. What would you give up now?
Because I don't even eat a lot of chocolate. Coffee.
So it has
That's
to
pretty
be
essential.
It has to be deemed by you to be some sort of detrimental aspect to your life. Like just like it's
Like a sacrifice in a way.
it's a convenience thing that you need to give up.
Yeah.
Sacrifice to so you're like loyal or
Yeah, it's just like it's like keeps you humble, right? So you meant to like because like Jesus was like a humble dude, so you have to like humble yourself by giving up something that like
Okay.
temptation or whatever
Okay,
it is.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. So then Ash Wednesday, you get the ash and you put the cross on your forehead, and
Yep.
then I don't know how many like days, but I think it goes like Ash Wednesday, and then it's the Good Friday.
Oh, so that's the week before.
Yes.
Oh, it's like we spend the back half of the weekend generally.
Yeah. So then you have Good Friday, and you're not meant to like eat meat and stuff on Good Friday, apparently.
Just fish, right?
Yeah, just fish on Good
Type of
Friday.
meat, but
Yep.
anyway,
So I think Good Friday is the day that he dies on the cross.
you should
Yep.
know this.
Yeah, I should know this. It's been a while. And then you always have
Read the actual book, obviously,
yeah,
if you want the
Bible
information.
for those who haven't heard of it. And then you've got the Good Friday, and then you just got the Saturday in between. And then the Sunday is the day that he's risen. So that's
Right,
Easter
I'm
Sunday.
I'm thinking the Sunday before. You're talking it's like a lead up period. I
Yeah, it's
thought
like
it
it's a
was-
whole period.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not just like a singular day. Like it's the whole lead up for like him like dying and stuff. So like he comes into Jerusalem because people want him, and then the Romans hate him because people are worshiping him and not like the Roman kings or whatever it is. And then they like stone him, I think, and then they like lash him, like so whip on the back, and then he has to carry the cross up to the top of the hill with the other like I know thieves and stuff, and then they put him. Nail him to the cross when they're meant.
I know that. That's a pretty memorable moment.
Yeah, when they're meant to just like tie ropes
They were
and
just
stuff.
supposed to tie him up. They were
Yeah.
supposed to sacrifice.
Like the original thing is like he just meant to tie them up, but they put the nails through his wrist so he wouldn't escape.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is all the other crucifixions with nails after
No.
that, or was it supposed to be just tied up?
Just supposed to be tied
So
up.
they're supposed to come back down at some point.
Yeah, because it's meant to be just like some sort of punishment.
I thought they were supposed to be up there and die up there as a visual for other people not to misbehave.
Like
If that makes
some
sense.
would die because depending on how long some would just like.
I thought it was like just a presentation, like a performance thing. Like this could happen to you, so like stick in line.
A bit of both. I think some people just be up there for a certain amount of time, and if you survive or whatever it is. But like the whole thing, the reason why he died on the cross was because he sacrificed himself for the people and their sins. So the Father took his life.
The Father, God.
Yeah. Or the Holy Trinity is also the
so confusing.
the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yeah.
It's so confusing.
Yeah.
I remember we were forced to go to scripture lessons during school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ever had a really a choice, or if our parents even like really cared. The main thing I remember is the whole rock in the cave thing. When does that come in?
So like Good Friday, he dies on the cross.
But what?
I think, yeah, Good Friday he dies.
Yeah.
And then so they take him down and they like wash his body and they move him into the cave.
Oh, he was already. They moved him into his dead body into the cave.
Yes.
I thought he just like got trapped in there.
No, like his followers moved his body into the
as
like a tomb.
Like a tomb, yeah.
Yeah. And then they opened up the tomb on Sunday and he was gone. Yeah, so he risen.
Or the rat stadium.
Yeah, either or. Yeah.
So I'm pretty harsh to the old
No, but it's super whack. Like thinking about it, like you. Like,
it's interesting. It's intriguing, but there's also a lot of holes.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
But yeah, like when I was super young, so when we lived in Victoria, I went to like a Catholic primary school, and then when we moved up to Sydney, I went to a public school for year 5 and year 6, and it was a very like bizarre thing because you'd have scripture classes and stuff, and then they'll just be talking about these things. I'm like, I learned about this like ages ago because I went to like a Catholic school, like it's just ingrained. You know, you have like church every like once a week or whatever it is, and then the high school I went to was a Catholic high school. But I think my parents just paid that little bit extra because it's generally a better education in private schools.
And they just had their own specific scripture time on top of normal classes.
Yeah, so we had like so instead of like math, English, so you'd have maths, English, and then studies of religion would be a mandatory thing.
And is it like chronological? It's like, oh, we're going to talk about this today. Or is it like starting from point A to point...
Like any like curriculum, there'd be like some sort of like certain structures and stuff, but it depends on the school. So like because I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, they were a little bit progressive. So we had like the women in the Bible one because like the whole history of like the Bible, right, is it was written by men for men. So they scrapped out, they choose whatever scriptures they want to put in there. And then like apparently in the Vatican, there's a whole bunch of like scriptures that people wrote that they haven't even included in the Bible because it doesn't suit like the Catholic needs or whatever it is. So it's like written for men by men, and that's why there's hardly any. So they're leaving out potentially
like important things.
Potentially, yeah. That's why there's hardly any women in the Bible, and that's why like Mary Magdalene gets like sent, like seems like she's like a prostitute or whatever because of just like left out all the scriptures.
Completely shaping. Obviously, they got to shape the narrative. It is a book, but they're leaving other things out that could make it worse or make it more interesting or more potentially. Like make things seem darker than it actually
100%.
is currently led to believe.
Because in the New Testament, sorry, this is turning out to be like a religious studies, but like in the New Testament, there's like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, like the 4 books. But apparently there's like heaps of different other ones. They just didn't put them in or choose to put them in.
And they would have been out, like it's been established for long enough now.
Mm-hmm.
If they've buried it this far, it's not going to just like resurface into like a new edition anytime soon.
No, could you imagine like how big the Vatican vault is and like the stuff that they would have in there? So the scriptures, the art, like all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like, you know, the Da Vinci Code where they go into like the Vatican vault, like it's probably something like that. Like it's pretty crazy. Like it's a pretty fucked up religion.
And the classes in school, was the teachers like religious, or was it just like whatever teacher could get a job anyway? They just take whatever job they can get, whether they're religious or not.
Well, because like one of my girlfriends is in like a Catholic school, like preferably you have to be Catholic. Like, and for us as kids, yeah, and like for us as kids to be into a Catholic school, like my mom, she was Anglican from like the Church of England, so she had to convert to Catholicism.
For you to go to school,
yes, because like for us,
then basically renounce it anyway. Oh,
not like you get put into like a line to go to a Catholic school because they're better schools, right?
It says who though?
Because they get more money, so they have better quality teachers and like curriculums and resources and stuff.
That's the school. What about the parent? The home life is equally as important.
Oh no, for sure. I'm just saying, like, so then because they were both Catholic, you get like higher in the position to like get into that school. It's dumb.
It's not necessarily dumb. It just shows how rigged society and especially the schooling system is.
That's Catholicism for you.
It's just it's a bit gross to me. Like it is what it is. Like there's not much you or I can do to change that system.
No.
But it's about being aware of like how things operate. Mm-hmm. Same as any like big business or corporation.
Yeah, but like my high school wasn't like super pushy with it because like it was studies of religion was mandatory until year 10 and you could choose whether or not to select it to study it in year 11 and year 12. Like I chose to because it was more weighty in the HSC and it was a pretty easy subject.
Did they weave in religious lessons into like a normal class, like normal math?
No, it was left
like
all
here's
out.
Pythagoras and here's how Jesus used it.
No, they left all that out. So like science was science and then, you did physics and you did biology and stuff. So that generally those teachers weren't like super religious.
So how do they teach science when it only goes back 2,000 years?
They don't. They teach proper science. They're not like a...
So they teach you evolution.
Yeah.
They teach you about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
How's that not a huge conflict of interest to the actual school?
I'm sure you'd have some like Christian schools that wouldn't teach that, but like ours was like an actual like legit like school. So you'd have your studies of religion one. That's why they call it studies of religion.
But then, don't you just give the kids an opportunity to debunk it? Because you're teaching them two different timelines.
Yeah, but like I guess it depends on like, I guess the type of like Christian you are. Like you either like understand like the philosophy of religion and then also like believe in the science.
Yeah, but we can teach, I understand that. So it's about how...
Like it's like the lessons and morals from religion
I understand
that teach you. Yeah.
I got that. But it's about how... forget, I'm blanking on the word, but like how literal you take the actual Bible and its events.
Yeah.
I understand there's like good morals and philosophies to be taken away from that time period and from the writings, but to like be like, this is fact, this is literally what happened, and then be like, here's how dinosaurs evolved or got blown up due to asteroids, or blown up but suffocated basically.
Yeah. Well, it's like that's why they sort of it just depends. So like that's why they call it studies of religion. We just didn't study like Catholicism. We studied like Buddhism and...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not even like really, like in that essence, you're not even really going to learn about Catholicism. You're going just to learn, or just to have a better educational experience.
You know how you have like 4 terms? So like 3 terms would be like for Catholic and then 1 term would be for like a different religion.
Is that how they structure it?
I think so from memory.
So you learn a whole different religion there.
Yeah. So like we learn like Hinduism, Buddhism, I think Muslim for a bit as well.
Why can't they just do that in normal school?
I
Too
don't
busy
know.
trying to get everyone up to the same basic level of algebra.
Probably. I did general maths, so like that's where I put the priority in it. I hated math.
Well, this has been an interesting discussion so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Cheers. We should probably give something up for the day then. Coffee's a bit too late for coffee.
And we've already had coffee today of chocolate.
We've had chocolate.
Yeah.
Have had bread.
Mm-hmm. Have had bread.
We can give up wine. He did turn water into wine.
He did, but we don't even have wine in the house, so...
True.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some rotten fruit in the fridge that might go...
Give up fruit.
Turn into wine.
Maybe. Some grapes. Have something in there.
Interesting. Yeah. We need to choose something anyway. I'm not giving up this pod.
No.
Not this week anyway.
No. We'll figure it out.
We'll.
Yeah.
Do you have anything interesting to add on to further this conversation about Jesus?
About Jesus, not that I can think
or from
of.
the week. Any interesting stuff from the week?
Well, I did. This is like actually a bit of a bizarre thing. Like as I was scrolling through, did you know? So you know how when you have a song and you sample a song, you have to pay royalties, right? Most of the time.
You do, but I imagine you probably have to get approved. Like depends on how much of the song is used. If it's just a part of a song, like one instrument from a song,
yeah,
you have to, obviously they get a cut of royalties, but if you just use a song, you might have to like ask permission, or if you're going to cover it or something. Yeah. I'm not too sure how it works, but yes, the answer is yes.
Yes. So guess how much Sean Diddy, or P. Diddy, whatever you want to say.
Sean, how dare you?
Well, it says Sean and then in brackets Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy. How
much do you think he pays Sting for sampling his hit song Every Breath You Take per day?
That is that's a big song. I'll be watching you. How much does he pay?
Per day. How much does he pay Sting per day?
Okay, so this would come down to how often his song gets played. So like on radio, featured on movies, album sales, streaming. How much does he pay Sting per day?
Yes.
I'm going to go, it's probably played 1 million times a day. Probably not that much. It's probably between like radio play and everything, streaming, probably, I'm going to say 400,000 plays a day.
Yes.
And let's say you get, well, it depends on how much Puff Diddy, what do you call him? Puff Diddy?
It's Sean Diddy Combs.
depends how much he would get per play, because obviously there's a split to like management and record companies and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is very poor math. Maybe he gets 10 cents per play. So 10 cents per play would be 10% of that. So that's $40,000. And then if he's using a sample of Sting.
So analytical, yeah.
Because it's a huge, it's pretty much an exact usage of that sample. It's not like it's redone with a different instrument or in a different key or anything. He's probably paying 50% royalties to Sting. So I'm saying 20 to 25K per day.
Oh, way off, but yeah.
Really? Too high?
Yeah, it is too high. But like it's 5K every single day.
Way off.
But it's like it's accumulated to almost like 2 million a year in royalties from a single song, which is crazy. Apparently it's put like Sting's kids through like school and stuff.
100% I would.
Yeah.
And if you have that invested in like somewhere decent, like the returns on that would be insane.
Yeah. But like when I was looking at it, so like royalties, like either you can do it illegally or illegally, like everyone like goes to court and stuff at the end of the day, but it's 50-50. So if, you know, he's also getting like 50% of those. So it's like he's getting like 10K per day.
That's what I said. I thought it would be about 50, yeah.
Yeah. So he's getting like, 10K per day or whatever it is. And he's giving like half of that to Sting, but like that's crazy. Like that.
I think it's the percentage of how it's the same as like with logos and stuff. I think, or with branding or taglines. We're not copyright lawyers by any means, but I think it has to be a certain percentage of variability or change to the original to be considered like a new piece of art or like logo or something like that.
Yeah.
But that song is like the main part of that Sting song is used in the song. Like I said, it's not just like one element or one track or instrument. Like it's a fair chunk of that song is from the original Sting
100%.
song.
Yeah.
Whereas you have like Dr. Dre or someone who's known for like sampling heaps of stuff, or Kanye, for example.
Yeah.
They only use like small snippets from a song, like a scratch on a. They'll listen to like an old record from the 50s or 60s or something and get one tiny section and then loop it over and over.
You can barely tell.
And then they'll layer that with 10 other samples. So it's like it comes down to how much change has been made to the original.
Yeah.
In terms of how much percentage the original artist would get, I'd imagine.
And there's like heaps of big songs out there. I was going to send you, but I think if you wanted to have a look at the link, it was like the 10 songs that made millions in royalties.
Well, what's interesting now with AI is you can make new songs using elements. So like, let me put it this way. Like if you have an Eminem song, for example, or you want Eminem's voice, you can put Eminem's voice to sing an Adele song, for example, but an Adele song with like a Wu-Tang type beat.
Yeah.
Like you can mix all these elements now with AI, or you'll be able to more easily going into the future. And then that's when there's actually a few articles this week I've read, but I can't recall them exactly, about how that's going to shape or impact things like this, like lawsuits or copyright going on in the future, because it's the name and likeness. Like you can use Eminem's style and tone and voice. The AI can listen to hundreds of his songs and get how his voice sounds and then add different words in. And then it's essentially AI creating that version of his voice, but it's using his name and likeness.
Right.
So like there's going to be a bunch of like legal disputes and, you know, like huge lawsuits and stuff going on in like the whatever Senate courts or whatever, who the fuck decides that sort of stuff in the US.
Well, like, so instead of sampling your like creative work as like a song or like pictures and stuff, it's going to be yourself, like stealing your self identity. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rather than using the exact music or the exact words, it sounds like you.
Yeah.
And I guess the people that can defend themselves are the ones that have a huge catalog and huge financing or a record label to support or like pay those legal fees. Like what if someone just gets the top number one hit song or like blows up viral on TikTok or YouTube or something and just makes 100K overnight, but it's like they've done nothing other than type into ChatGPT, play Adele song, play whatever this Adele song is with this type of Wu-Tang Clan beat with Eminem singing or like whatever combination you want to do. There's endless combinations essentially. And then like who gets paid for that?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Well, it's like, I think, wasn't it a couple of years ago, like Splendor in the Grass, they had like Jimi Hendrix, like virtual reality sort of like person like playing. Could you imagine like eventually like that's what it's going to be? It'll be like someone, like you said, like looks like Eminem or looks like Adele singing in a different voice and it's just like a virtual reality like.
For a festival, it wouldn't work because you're paying to see the artist. You're paying to see the exact thing that they've created. You don't want to see some mashup version. I think all that mashup stuff is going to be good online, and like it's fun when you see another band cover another band's song.
Yeah.
But in a live setting, I don't know how that would play. But like in terms of holograms and stuff, like they had Tupac play at Coachella probably almost 10 years ago now. That was a while ago. That technology's been around for a while. But they'd probably play their original songs. Yeah,
that's fair. Like, because that's who you'd want to see. You want to see the originals and stuff.
You don't want to see Tupac doing an ABBA song.
Unless it's like the new like dance, like techno genres, like mashup.
Yeah.
There you go.
But in terms of different art styles, like with the AI stuff, you can see people that are, like we've mentioned in an episode a few weeks ago about AI art and how it's kind of just manipulating previous forms of art that have been uploaded on there. So if you're an artist, your painting style can be imitated or replicated to a degree and then repurposed to someone else's product. But with music, it's a bit different because there's so many layers. There's like the sound of the voice, there's the actual instrumentation part, and then the actual lyrics part. So there's words, there's how the words are sung in a voice, and then there's music behind it. So there's more opportunities to manipulate the art form as opposed to like just a painting, for example, because it's just like a linear, it's just a 2D thing as opposed to like a moving waveform. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's going to be very, very tricky like in a couple of years' time, but like who owns what?
Exactly. So yeah, copyright could be interesting going forward in the future. I mean, I could find an article now, but we're just going to like fumble through it like
we usually do.
Like a Christian discussion on Catholicism.
From someone who hasn't done it in a while.
Done what in a while?
Yeah, it's like it's called you're either practicing or you're not practicing. So like to be like a proper like Catholic or whatever, you need to like go to confession like before you go to church. So your soul is cleansed.
Interesting.
And we used to have to like do confession in school. It'd be like, you know, sit down in a little confession booth and be like,
did you? They made you do that at school?
Yeah. Like you'd like actually going to like because we had a few like different mixed like religions and stuff. Like you didn't have to. Like you could sit out if you wanted to. They didn't force you to do anything.
Were there any kids that I don't want to go back into this topic again? Were there any kids that were just staunchly like clearly there just as like a not a scam, but like to like defy the rules? Like their parents were in on it. The kids were just like, we're only going here for the education. Or like I'm not taking part in any classes or I'm not taking part in any confessions. Like it's just clearly like and like bragged about it or anything. Because I'd be like,
not really. There was some just like that didn't care about it, but they were still like. It was still like a class that you had to like pass, or else you'd fail.
Jesus Christ.
Like it's education at the end of the day.
Let's go to Scientology at that point.
Yeah. Well, science, I guess. Who's it, Hubbard? Is that guy?
Yeah, but they make them do basically the same thing, like confessions.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole thing is like the whole point is like you go to confession, you'd be like, I stole $5 out of my mum's wallet. No worry, your sins are forgiven, and then you go to church. And then you can take Holy Communion when you go to church because like you meant not to take Holy Communion if you've got sins, apparently.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know how to carry on from that, to be honest.
Do you have any articles?
Not as interesting or provoking as religion.
Yeah. What about P. Diddy? He's like...
what about P. Diddy?
Well, that's what I was just talking about, like paying $5,000 a day to good old Sting.
Well, I have no articles about P. Diddy.
You know.
Following on from like last week's episode about banning things, got a couple of interesting, I guess, layover elements or parts of conversation.
Yeah.
So I've been watching a bit of the Masters this weekend.
You've been like heaps into like I would never have picked you.
Don't put it out there like I'm heaps into golf. I just watch it in the background.
I know you just watch it in the background, but it'd be the last kind of like sport that I thought you'd sort of be mildly interested in.
Tell me why.
I don't know, because it's like the sports you usually like or the two that I can know of is like basketball and UFC, and that's quite like
Okay, so break it down. What happens when you're watching basketball or UFC?
Like it's fast paced.
Yep.
Obviously, it's a sport, so it's skill leveled.
And what's going on? Like, that's the visual.
Yep.
Fast paced.
Mm-hmm. Commentary.
What's going on with the commentary?
People are describing what's happening.
Yep.
and just like giving, like, I would do this and stuff instead, or
But
like
if the sport is fast, then the commentary is also
fast.
okay. So what is golf?
Golf is like golf is a slow sport.
It's a bit more relaxing and not stressful to watch, especially
So
when
it's
you're high strung.
calming.
When you're high strung like me, and you just want to zone out for a second. You don't want to watch a hectic fight or a hectic playing basketball.
That's true,
or
and
a-
it's
a fast
outdoor.
pa- or
It's outdoors, nice greenery.
or fast exactly. Or even just like the alternative is to watch YouTube or a movie, but then it's just scene after scene, line after line, change. Just like, okay, we got Mike Willowitz moving up to the 14th tee. Wind's going about 45 knots here to the left. And you're just like, oh, this is like heaps calm. So it's just chill. I'm not even really watching it. I'm like kind of absorbing it, but it's just because otherwise the alternative is music. And then what do I listen to? Hip hop and punk. Hip hop's just like, shoot your mama dead in the street, bum, 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 bum. It's like, okay, chill out. And then punk's just like fast, 200 beats per minute. And just like,
You just need some dudes in a polo shirt.
it's just
like
lo-fi.
relaxing.
It's just lo-fi sport.
Oh my God, yes.
Lo-fi sport.
Lo-fi sport. Gotcha. Totally understand now. Except the other day, there was like big pine trees falling down and stuff.
Yeah, there was. Well, they've called it off for 2 days in a row because of the weather. A few storm cells moving through Augusta there.
Yeah.
Just outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
It's crazy how much you absorb. Like, you are such a sponge that even though you're only kind of like half listening to it, you still maybe rattle off like a whole bunch of like golf stuff
I
now.
just need to know where it is, who's playing, what Aussies are on. I just need to know what I'm getting involved in.
Yeah.
I don't just jump into a Catholic school and just get told what to know. I want to investigate a little bit, you know?
Fair enough. Yeah. So you've been watching golf lately?
Yeah. So what was I talking about before that?
That you were there was the bannings.
Oh, yeah. So just seen an interesting article. It wasn't really interesting. It was just more like highlighting facts about it. There's no phones allowed there. So there's 40,000 attendees generally at this is like the biggest, the biggest event, like golfing at Augusta. And it's like a 3 or 4 day event. They have like a bunch of different rounds. So it's the same 18 holes every day. And then depending on how below or above par you are, there's cuts along each day.
Yeah.
So obviously on the second day, the first half of people are cut and then it dwindles down until the last day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the attendees can't have any phones or cameras or anything. So it's one of, if not the biggest event globally where there's a common knowledge or a common agreement among the patrons that there's no phones to be allowed. So like I can't go, like we're talking about Lent before, we can't give our phones up for the day, let alone an entire day on the golf course. Obviously they can go home to their hotels and stuff and use their phones and gadgets. But it's just interesting that there's a common agreement just for the enjoyment of the sport. People are there, they're in the zone, they're in the moment to
Being
enjoy
present.
the sport.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're talking about last week about banning phones and stuff.
Yeah, in schools and stuff. And wasn't there that viral photo of like how cheap the food was as well?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it actually. Because, I mean, if I was going to Augusta and wanted some food and I was paying that much to attend, I would probably want
some cheap food.
Some cheap bloody food.
How much are tickets, do you know?
I don't know.
They'll probably be a couple of $100, right? Have to be.
I mean, it'd be a multiple day event.
Oh yeah, so you probably get like the 1 day passes, and then you probably have like a normal kind of like festival, but golf.
Well, you'd want to be there on the last day when the actual winners announced. So I imagine
that would be the most
the same as like a NBA finals. Like each when it goes down the
you want to see the best of the best. You don't want to see like the dummies playing.
So you can bring this up on the screen if you want. This is the Augusta Masters food menu, and it's pretty cheap. If I could find the photo, which I just had 1 second ago. It's a lot of just snacks and stuff,
well, there we go. Once it loads. There we go.
So sandwiches, we got an egg salad, $1.50. I mean, this is after inflation.
Yeah.
We got a huge inflation issue.
Well,
at the
like
moment.
you got two little like golf course. Are they like the prime golf course ones to get? Is that why they're so cheap?
I don't know what the logo's there. It's probably maybe they're
The special, the house special.
Famous egg salad special.
Barbecue.
Yeah, this is relatively like well off, kind of moderately
It's a country
rich.
club.
It's a country club. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a simple way of putting it. Okay, egg salad $1.50. Pimento cheese. I guess that's just cheese.
Type of cheese. Yep.
It's not a sandwich or anything. $1.50. Barbecue $3. Masters Club, which I think would be a favorite.
Club sandwich. Yeah.
Yep, $2.50. Grilled chicken wrap $3.
So cheap.
Super cheap. Fresh brewed coffee $1.50. Sausage biscuit, which is basically what we call an sausage big muffin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think as biscuits.
Yeah,
like
they call muffins biscuits.
like
but I think it's more of a dense.
It's like a scone type thing.
I think it's close to a scone.
Let us know in the comments what a biscuit is, because we call biscuit a cookie.
Yes.
Blueberry muffin $1. Blueberries ain't cheap.
Fresh fruit $2.
They're like losing money on these products.
Oh, 100%. They would not cost. They would be so hard to, have that pricing.
Import beer $5 makes sense. Candy chips $1. Peanuts $1. Cookie. So what's I don't understand. We call cookies anyway.
Biscuits.
So confusing.
No. So there'll be cookies are like, chocolate chip cookies and all that kind of stuff, and then the biscuits are like Anzac biscuits. Like I think more of like less sweet.
So confusing.
I know Aussies just call everything all at once. To be honest.
But yeah, the trees were falling down, which is pretty crazy. They had to call it off.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll see if I can find a video. Trees falling.
Far out. Look at that.
Imagine if this had like crushed. Obviously, they're huge. Pine. Are they pine trees? Yeah, two pine trees. If they had fallen on someone, it would have been
disastrous
all over the news. There would be regulations and limitations on all the future events. But luckily, they're so tall that you can hear it coming a mile away. Like the roots are so entrenched that you'd hear it.
It'd be slow falling.
Falling. I wonder how many people call it timber. We can't watch
location.
it. Got
to go to YouTube's.
We have YouTube? How do you get YouTube?
What is YouTube? There we go. A nice 38-second video. That's what you need.
The second round of the Masters was suspended today because of inclement weather, which also led to at least 3 trees falling right onto the course. The uprooted pines fell slowly, as you see here, 2 of them acting as support for the third tree. The trees went down right where a crowd was watching along the 17th tee. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the close call was evidenced by several crushed chairs that were right beneath those trees. They fell. Scary moments there. Thankfully, everyone's all right. Let's talk about what's next.
So that was pretty crazy. That's why I got called off. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. I've been looking at some of the young Aussies. Which is actually a guy from Sydney. I think he's 21.
Yeah.
Harrison Crow.
Never heard of him.
He's been wiped out already. He's been knocked out.
Oh, really? What round did he get in, or what day did he get to? Did he get wiped out on the first day?
I'm not sure how it's working at the moment because the second and third day got rained out. So I feel like they made a cut early because they can't. Everyone's there, like flown in. Because the thing with these golf tournaments is there's golf events every week.
Right.
It's not like they get to pick and choose what games or what tournaments they want to play. It's not like an NBA season where like you have to be in Chicago, Miami, you have to be here, It's like, I don't really want to play that one this time. I want to spend time at home this weekend.
I don't want to do that course.
Every weekend there's like major events globally, which is why they could introduce that live event, or a different company started a different golfing tournament.
Because there's like a big demand for it almost.
There's just a big demand, and there's a lot of money in the sports, and like obviously the sports, but the advertising and all the brand deal partnerships and whatnot. But I'm not sure how it works this weekend because there's so many other events on. They can't really extend this to like a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right.
It's only like a 4-day thing.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how they get knocked out each day now that there's been 2 days rained out. So I feel like they might have to cut. The people that were at the bottom already didn't really get a chance to redeem themselves on future days. So he's been knocked out anyway.
They must have like
Don't yawn on the pod.
Must have a contingency plan for that, for like if there's rained out days and stuff.
But I thought you'd like this. So this is Harrison Crow, the amateur golfer from Australia. This is a bit of an older video.
About a golfer who hit a shot from the Dunvegan, which is a bar about a 9-iron away from the 18th green.
9-iron.
I didn't know who it was. Tonight I found out it was Ernie L.
So there's a famous event where someone's hit a golf ball over like this famous pub.
Right.
This is like one of the most famous golf courses in the world in the UK.
Oh.
And they hit it from the street over to the golf course.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to recreate it, and the Aussie guy, youngster, he's like 20, 21,
Yeah.
came over and redid it. So I'll just cut forward to it.
Gotcha.
I thought you might like it. It's a bit of a
Fun one.
you know, hey, you love your trick shots, you know.
I do.
No, there's been no permits. This is just happening. This is just a Sunday night.
All right, Ricky Day.
See, he has a mullet, right?
Of course.
Of course he does.
There's another guy who's going to hit this mullet, another Aussie. I think his name's Cameron Smith.
Come on, mate, show him.
Look how rickety like these tiles are.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, it's got a little golf thing
The
in there.
first shot he misses,
Yeah.
and then the second one
Right here.
he cracks right over it.
Wow.
Left chimney.
Look at that classic UK street.
Yeah.
let's go.
Cobblestones, everything. Look at all the chimneys. Oh, the roadie's even called Golf Place.
Is it?
Yeah.
So smacks it over.
That should work.
Look at that.
Crazy.
He did it.
How far is that distance?
Okay.
That's a new young upcomer amateur golfer. Not that you're that interested, but in talking about mullets, the other guy that's quite a good golfer, Aussie dude, is Cameron Smith. He's got a pretty decent mullet.
Aussies just love their mullets, man.
Look at that for a mullet.
The mullets and the mo. Look at that face. He looks so distraught.
I think it's you don't see many Americans with mullets.
No.
I think it's just like a
Well, it's like the Aussies love mullets, and then I think it's like the rednecky, like who's
even
the comedian?
rednecks. Theo Von.
Yeah, he's got the mullet as well. Bet Aussies would love him.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I think we're just 20 years behind. We're living in the early 2000s with the mullet area.
Yeah, they just love it. You know,
Should I grow a mullet?
if you want to.
It's too curly though.
You do have curly hair, but like you've said it before, where you just cannot be bothered to have long hair anymore. So shave it off.
Like a mullet's no joke. You got to not maintain it, but you got to keep the front chopped down.
Got to brush the long back.
You got to brush the long back.
Yeah. What you have to do.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's the shampoo it though. It's a lot of work as well.
Yeah. You just like the easy maintenance.
So what we're talking about banning. Yeah. So
Yes.
phones are banned. And I didn't realize that. Obviously, we talked about last week, mobile phones are banned as well at Aussie schools. They actually use these devices called Yonders.
Right.
I know speaking about comedians, I know a lot of bigger comedy shows in the US use these devices that lock people's phones away so they can't film or record their stand-up specials because they want to retain their jokes and everything. So every time they go to a new city, no one's heard their joke before. Otherwise, you can imagine if everyone, like at a music concert, is filming everything, then you're giving away. Like with the music, it's a bit different because you already know their songs. You go there to see content you've already heard of. With comedy, you want to go to see stuff that you
Never
haven't
heard of. Yeah, exactly.
So they want to retain all that integrity and intellectual property in terms of their jokes.
Makes sense.
So they use these Yonder devices, which are just little pouches that have like a magnetic lock type thing on them.
Gotcha.
So that's what schools are using now in Australia to prevent kids from accessing their phones during the school day.
Very interesting. Did you know it's the 50th anniversary of mobile phones? I was reading an article, so they've only been around 50 years. It's not that long.
You said this the other day, but I'm confused because mobile phone means mobile, right?
No cord, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this.
Well, there's an
Because I
article.
think about SIM cards.
Yeah.
I think about SIM cards. Do they have SIM cards or were they just mobile things you carry at home?
Well, I don't know if the SIM card, I think the SIM card might have come after the mobile phone because like I think initially like everything was embedded on that phone, right? You'd buy a Telstra phone and it'd be like on there. But one of my articles was like the 50th anniversary. You got it?
Yep.
Yeah. Fast with it.
So this is what I'm thinking. This is well, you had the link ready to go.
Oh.
That's what I think of as a mobile phone. which
Yeah, so
I
that's the
get.
old school mobile phone.
But how did they call out? Like how did they get signal?
Like with an antenna, so they would have to have. You probably wouldn't get signal all the time, to be honest, because you'd have to have the towers to be able to receive it.
Interesting. Because look how blocky these are. There's not even how many numbers are in that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, 9, 10.
Yeah, but you'd probably only be able to call. That's it. There was no texting or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it'd have to be that blocky because, like, think about batteries. They've only just gotten smaller over time. Like, batteries were probably like huge back then.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't it? This is probably even before like lithium batteries, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So lithium like helped the tech get smaller. Think about that. Like, as
50
soon as like
years.
one tech gets better, like it can influence another tech to get like smaller or more efficient as well.
Well, I was watching the other day. I know how you love when I watch movies on my own on Thursday nights. I watched that Tetris movie.
This is happening way too often now. I'm so like I don't get to watch anything at all anymore. I would have
do.
loved to watch that movie.
You do. We'll get into what we watched this week. I watched that Tetris movie. I forget what the actor's name is. He was in
A movie.
the other movies.
Look it up real quick. Tetris movie
Because
cast.
Tetris was like the game in the household that everyone played.
Mhm.
What's his name?
Just search Tetris movie cast.
I am, but the internet's not great
Tetris
because,
movie
things
cast.
aren't getting smaller.
Yeah.
Taron Egerton.
Oh, he's the one that played like Elton John and King
Yes.
Arthur and yeah.
Anyway, yeah, watch the Tetris movie.
Mhm.
I actually enjoyed it. It's similar to the concept of that new Air movie that has Ben Affleck. It's about the making of something that's culturally known, right?
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of documentaries about like how a video game was made or how a movie was made or something, but like
Yeah.
in terms of like having it kind of fictionalized and played out with characters and stuff,
Mhm.
it's becoming more and more popular. Like the Air one's about creating the Air Jordans. This one's about how they designed and got Tetris to market
Gotcha.
because it was like the biggest game of its era. And speaking of technology and things getting smaller and battery sizes and stuff, this is basically how they got Tetris, because the Russians basically didn't want to let Tetris get out of the country. There was a Russian guy that invented the game. And then obviously the whole movie is about the legal battles of getting licensing to different platforms and different countries so they could produce it. And obviously everyone wanted to make money off the Tetris game.
Gotcha.
But the interesting thing about this is like the game's fun. I used to love it. Dad used to play it, used to smash it. I wasn't not so good at it. But for me, the interesting part was the introduction or the first glimpse at like a Game Boy when it had first been released.
Right.
So the thing with the Game Boy in the movie, he says, "Are you making it with color?" And he's the guy that's like working at Nintendo is like, we're doing it like just black.
Mhm.
And with this number of pixels, because if we do any more than that, we can't run it off the 4 AA batteries that you need.
Oh.
So that's a battery limitation, as we were just saying a second ago.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, they might have had color initially. Obviously, there was Game Boy Color and stuff came out later down the line. Whether or not the hardware inside got easier to run off less batteries
More
or whatever.
efficient. Yeah.
But initially, that's the reason why it was just like black and grey. It wasn't even grey. It was just one tone.
Yeah, like that greeny grey color of
Yeah.
like the original games. Yeah.
So that was interesting. And yeah, they were going to initially put Super Mario out with the Game Boy, but then Tetris was more of a universal in terms of everyone in the household would be able to play it.
Gotcha.
Compared to Mario, which is more of a kid's game. So I recommend that movie, but we'll get on to what we recommend you guys to watch this week. We just finished it. It's just been released. We binged it all weekend.
Literally finished right before we started this episode
So
as well.
perhaps we've watched a lot of Netflix this weekend. Maybe we can Lent for the rest of the afternoon with no Netflix.
No TV. You know, that was probably a classic one. No TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Well, like TV was like the old school like social media, right? Because like you didn't have computers or mobile phones like that you could just, use and watch content on. So it'd be like Gippy would give up TV.
All right. So that's what we're giving up. This week we're going to talk about Beef on Netflix.
A very interesting show. Super interesting.
So you can give it a bit of an intro if you like. I know. Oh Jesus! It's
My
not
bad.
in the afternoon.
I know.
Stressing me out here.
Sorry. Didn't mean to yawn. I think it's the coffee that's making me yawn, to be honest.
Okay.
Not getting through. So the TV show Beef, so it's about these two people. Both have like their own shit sort of going on in their lives and everything. And it starts off by him going into a shop. Like they're in like a supermarket, super center kind of thing that sells like everything. Like I'm trying to not say Goodwill. What's the other one? Best Buy, something like that. Walmart, thank you. That's like the Walmart-y type store. He goes to reverse and this other person's like driving past and they almost like get into a crash but stop, but she like beeps for a very, very long time and he's like, what's your problem? And then they get into the like huge road rage driving sort of like shenanigans, and it sort of like escalates from there. Like they're always just trying to get back at each other.
Yeah. So first of all, it's a great show. Probably one of my favorite shows I've seen this year. The whole TV show, like you don't know what's coming. There's a lot of unpredictability compared to traditional TV shows. You can see a lot of the stuff coming. In this one, you don't really know what's going to come next. The cast is really good. It's an all-Asian cast for the most part.
Yeah.
And the entire show is, as the title of the show is called, Beef. It's basically centered around conflict and holding grudges against people, like whether necessary or unnecessarily. Holding grudges against people and not letting go of things and just wanting to be vindictive to like everyone that does you wrong, essentially.
Yeah, and then using that vindictiveness to like fill a hole within your own life, like to mask the depression, to mask like your unhappiness and that kind of thing. Just like finding something to like live for and finding purpose, but it's just like always like the worst route to take. Like it's always like the evil side of things.
Yeah, just blaming others for why things are going wrong, and they're not taking any accountability, and just using the lack of accountability and the grudginess to like progress you into the next horrible act you're going to do.
Oh, 100%.
It's a really interesting show.
And like I'm pretty good at like picking things, like solving whatever we're watching, like figuring out like who I know is up to it or whatever like the end of the story is going to be. But this
You're
one
a murder mystery type of whiz.
Yeah, like I can usually figure it out, but this one I couldn't guess like what was going to happen next. There was like one part like, you know, someone was hiding. I'm like, oh, it could be this person, It's like it's just leading you into all these different areas, a bit like White Lotus. Like it could be leading to anybody. You just don't know. Like that's why it's like I like that it keeps you guessing, because it keeps you engaged the whole entire time. It keeps you like wanting to watch and wanting to try and figure it out. Like I kind of like not knowing what's going to happen next.
There's a lot of doors left open that you don't really know which one is like where it's going to come from next. Like there's no real character tie-offs because there's always potential for someone to come back and be involved in the next thing. But yeah, it's an interesting show. Like they just, like you said, they almost get in a car accident in the first episode. I guess there's not going to be any major spoilers here. It's just the premise of the show. And then the entire season after that incident is them trying to find out who it was or get back at each other, and just all the one word for the season is vindictive, trying to be, and grudges. That's essentially how it's
And I kind of like
shaped.
the split as well, because like the lady, she's got quite a bit of wealth and stuff behind her, not like insanely rich, but she has the chance to make like a whole bunch of money. And you got the other dude, which is just like your blue collar sort of type dude. And it's pretty interesting that no matter like what side of like society they're on or like how much income they have, like they both like are the same person at the end of the day in a way, and like still feel the same, that kind of thing. Like it's super, super interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't matter like what background you have or what life circumstance you have. We're all human, and we have not necessarily the same grievances, but we can all be pushed to our limits, no matter how wealthy or how successful or how low on the totem pole we are. We can all be dwindled down to our basic human instincts and needs of like ego and like self-preservation, all that stuff. It all boils back to like just human nature and wanting to like
win.
Just win.
Yeah. Which is like very, because like you think like you get taught like as human beings, you get taught to always take the right path or the higher path, like be the bigger person. But really at the end of the day, like do most people do that, or they just want to be not in for themselves, but like I want to be the one that ends up on top, because like if I'm on top, that means I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, even if you don't know you're going to get away with it, it's just a chance that you might come out on top. So it's just taking that chance instead of doing something that you know is going to be certain. So it's an interesting show because it dives into so much of those human elements that we talked about. But like I've been listening to a lot of like stoic podcasts and philosophy type books lately, and a lot of it's just like self-awareness and knowing, like you said, doing the right thing. But like a lot of the times it's easy just to do the wrong thing just to like get that win back on your belt.
Yeah.
Whereas like just kind of seeing the pointlessness or the meaningless in everything and letting it slide off your back like a water off a duck's back, I believe is the saying.
Yeah.
like that's often harder to do, and like letting go is hard. There's a scene, obviously these two main characters, the ones we're talking about, who have the grudges the whole time. There's a scene later on in the season where the Ali Wong's character goes to her mum to like air some stuff out, and her mum's like, I already know about this from like decades ago. Like I've let it go. And that's the one thing neither character can do is just like let things go and like let it wash away and just move on with life. They just hold on to like every little grudge, every little grievance.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of regular society would do that. I think they would, but they wouldn't act out on it in terms of like criminal acts or doing harmful things to others, which is what they do a lot in this season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like holding grudges is like probably more commonplace than not.
Oh, for sure. And like it just shows like it's just like the core like emotional like ability. Like this is what's like just super interesting about this show is like they would be acting on things that you'd only just think about, like, oh, I should do this to get back at them or whatever, rather than just like sitting at home not doing anything. But I think because these characters are like just depressed and like they just don't have much going on in their lives and they're just super upset, that anything that makes them feel like any sort of emotion, whether it's a good or bad one, is better than what they're currently feeling.
That's right. It's just it's just a great show from start to finish. Like even the last episode, you're hanging on the whole time to see what happens, hanging on to the last second to see what happens.
And it's like, it's a dark comedy as well. So there's actually parts that literally make you laugh out loud as well. Like it's not all, I mean, there's quite a few comedians and stuff in there. I mean, Ali Wong's like a dope comedian.
She's a massive comedian.
Yeah, she's huge. And then you got Daniel Cho was the dude that you're telling me who's like this crazy, like,
David Cho.
Yeah, there's crazy like insane artist that like has all this like just like this super rich dude that does all these crazy art and stuff. And like he's in this and he's just like this very eccentric cousin.
Just a crazy like Asian gang dude. Not really in a gang, but like just a crazy guy. But yeah, I mean that's probably I was looking forward to watching that all week. I know we're in the middle of finishing off White Lotus at the moment, and there are a lot of similarities there in terms of just greed and wanting to just get whatever you like, just be self-fulfilled and get everything you want whenever you want it, as
whether
opposed
it's good
to
or bad,
just being patient or like letting things go. It's just like pursuit of self-fulfillment, but not even fulfillment like a soulful sense, just in terms of like a materialistic sense of like a dopamine hit almost. Like I just need it, I want it, that's what I want, I don't care who gets in my way, that's what I want.
That's a very interesting take, because like this show is like very much reflective of that, whereas like everything, whether it's in social media or like thought leaders and all that kind of stuff, they were talking all about being patient, being stoic, waiting for the stuff, letting things go and everything. And this is almost like the anti-reflection of it all. Be like, I know everybody's teaching go this way, but this is what this looks like.
Well, the moral at the end of all this stuff is to be like that, but this is giving you a lead up to like how not to act. So then you're invested in the characters, you're invested, and then at the end you're like, what's the moral of the show? It's the same as every TV show or movie. Like there's a moral to be learnt there at the end of it. And then it all points back to like the philosophical type of stuff of like letting things go, moving on. Life is short; it's kind of meaningless in a lot of areas. Focus on what matters, which is what they don't do the entire show. They kind of focus on getting back at one another in whatever capacity they can. So it's just about being humble, doing your thing, being stoic.
Yeah, being stoic, not letting things get to you. Like a honking car.
Honking car.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get any road rage incidents.
Yeah.
Anytime soon, because that's like the worst case scenario. Is like you have a 1 year grudge against someone.
Remember we were driving like 2 weeks ago and we saw like one in front of us.
We did.
Yeah, we like to think it was crazy. Just like drives off.
Well, we were in a 4-lane freeway.
Going 110.
Going 110 in the second lane from the left, and in Australia we drive on the left side of the road.
We do, yes.
In the left-hand side, there was 2 cars and they swerved across all 4 lanes to the right and then ended up in a ditch on the side of the road. And this happened probably 200 meters in front of us, and we could have been in an accident, could have been multiple cars rolled or flipped. And like I can only assume it's from a road rage, because there's no reason 2 cars tail off across 4 lanes like that.
Not at all.
Someone was chasing someone, or someone dinged someone, or there's some anger issue or whatever,
Yeah.
and they veered across 4 lanes, and they both ended up in the ditch in the median strip just before the other 4 lanes of oncoming traffic.
I know. It's pretty scary.
Very crazy.
Yeah. And like that one split decision, because you're driving like 110. Like it's, it's pretty mental.
One split decision, that one moment of flipping the bird or slamming the brakes on or tailgating can just escalate into veering off, and then someone's crashed into a tree or has a, God forbid, hasn't passed away or like, you know, has a broken limbs or whatever, and then
Literally like the show. Yeah.
literally like the show, then who knows? You'd like to think that cops come and get sorted out then and there. Or like the worst case is like it drags out. You find their address, you find where they work, you interrogate their family, you just go above and beyond
Infiltrate.
to like just ruin their life. So yeah, don't get in road rage incidents.
No. Keep calm and carry on.
Yes. That's one way of putting it. Or just keep calm and just breathe.
Yeah.
But don't hold your breath until next week's episode.
No. Don't do that
Don't do
because
that.
we want you to be alive so you can listen to next week's episode.
All right, we'll see you guys then next week.
Bye.